Hey everybody, good morning. It's Cindy Stark coming in live around Tuesdays at 10 with my cousin Jennie Drake.
And I am Jennie Drake, coming live from my place in Melbourne, Florida.
Yes, I'm here in sunny Florida visiting Jennie. I've been here for like maybe the last 4 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what kind of started as a trip that Jennie had a birthday recently, so we were going to a concert together. We saw four reggae bands right on the not on the beach, but on the intercoastal
On the river.
Yeah,
Mhm.
on the
It was
intercoastal
wonderful.
waterway. Yeah, it was great. But it turned into her mom, and we're going to get into this in just a minute. But her mom, who's my aunt, really that I've been closest to my whole life. She's at the end stages of her life, and so Jennie and I have just been every day we've been seeing her. We come back here to her place at night, and we just kind of reflect on how different life is right now with Poodle leaving us. Her mom's name is Poodle. Her real name is Diana, but we all call her Poodle. And so, I wanted to just tell y'all a little bit about my relationship with Jennie and all my cousins. So, my mom and her mom, and then our other cousin's mom, they all three had babies really, really close to each other. So, instead of being more like cousins, I really feel like all of us are more like sisters. There was 11 of us, three and four. Four
Yeah.
plus seven.
Yeah.
No, 4 plus 6.
Well, yeah,
10.
three. Yeah.
Yeah, we had 10. So it's like we had 10 siblings. Hey Lynn, hey Stacy. That's another cousin of ours, still in Georgia. So anyway, and then we all just live right here in two states that are neighboring each other. So we've just really stayed close over the years. But our whole life we spent growing up, and those three sisters would always want to see each other on Sundays. And so we all 10 of us were just always together. So very close to her. I feel like she's just as much, like I said, like a sister than a cousin. And there's just some really huge amounts of wisdom in this woman that I want her to share with us today. And so again, it's Dr. Cindy Stark. This is my Tuesdays at 10. I've been doing this for a year and a week now. Last week was my 1-year anniversary, and I just love coming in and asking God to really help me share any kind of wisdom I have that can help you guys. And because I'm here visiting Jennie in Florida, she's here with me. And if you guys are coming in live, just hit hashtag live. And if you're coming in on the replay, please type in hashtag replay and let me know where you are. And I'm going to let Jennie introduce herself. But not only is Jennie a cousin of mine, but she's also a past client of mine. She's a graduate of my 12-week transformational program. And this woman has really conquered the fear of a million things, in my opinion, but 5 huge fears that I think a lot of us go through in our lives. And this woman had to go through all of them all at one time, like over the span of a year, all 5 going on together. And just the way that she has maintained her mental and emotional health, that even despite going through all these 5 things, I just feel like she's just a major inspiration. So with that, I'm gonna let Jennie introduce herself to you guys.
Hey everybody, glad to see you. Hey Stacy, hey Lynn, everybody else that's joining in. So I'm 52 years old, and
So am I. Jennie and I were only 9 months apart, so we're really like the twins. Even though we're cousins, we're twin sisters.
Cindy came to me with this opportunity to start this program at, like she said, a really crucial time in my life. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I drank for 25 years. August 23rd, 2018 is my sobriety date. So I'm almost 4 years sober. But as soon as I got sober, I started menopause. I wanted a separation from my husband, which he in turn asked for a divorce, and which was a nightmare. I moved cross country, drove by myself, just me in the vehicle, my 2 cats. And then to come over here to Florida to be close to my mother, who has dementia, who after I got here 3 months later had a stroke, and now is went from a wheelchair. Now she's bedridden. She's literally in the final stages of her life. And there was the divorce was like super hard, but all of that hit at one time, and what a gift it was that Cindy said, I've got something for you. And that's where it all started. And I don't know where to go from there.
Yeah, and one thing that I think is personally so amazing, that going through all 5 of those things, divorce, menopause, cross-country trip, sobriety, and mom at the final stages of her life, She has done all. She is. She's alive and thriving and mentally and emotionally stable, off of medicine.
Effexor. I was on Effexor. So I had generalized anxiety disorder for many, many years. It started when my oldest daughter was 3, and I was put on Effexor, and I would, like I said, I was on it for almost as long as I was drinking. And anyway, since I graduated from this program, I am no longer taking that medication. It took me about a year to completely wean myself off of it. But the only prescription medication that I take now, I've had asthma since I was a kid. So I still, suffer from complications from asthma. So I have an inhaler, and that's it. And everything else is healed from inside.
Yeah, and the healing that we do in this program is really it's between you and God. It's very personal, and I always say as a doctor we give medications, and Michelle's on. Hey Michelle. And we give medications, and then you are then reliant on that doctor and her prescribing you that bottle of medicine for the rest of your life. This program, you heal yourself from the inside out. The healing is between you and God, and no one can take that healing away from you. It travels with you for the rest of your life, and you don't have to be relying on anybody else. And another thing that I wanted to mention is in traditional psychology, psychiatry, medical practices, you go to the doctor, you say you have anxiety, and he or she helps you either do one of two things: take a medicine to mask the physical effects of anxiety, like the heart racing, the insomnia, the ruminating thoughts, or they just dredge up all this stuff from your past that probably made you anxious, and then they just kind of leave you with the awareness of all these things in your life that gave you all the anxiety, but they don't give you any tools to really get it to process it. And so what this program does, and I've gotten certified in the trauma release method, is that we literally go in and we release the effects of the trauma that led to the anxiety, that led to the depression, that led to the guilt and shame, and we get rid of it at a root level. And how different is it that to get something at a root level than just masking the symptoms?
I mean, absolutely. And it was just, it's funny how God works anyway. And this is where mine and God's relationship started to get close, because the pandemic happened on top of everything else, right? So we were all, we couldn't go anywhere. And I was stuck in my apartment alone for the first time in a decade. And I had nothing but time to sit and wonder, why was I an alcoholic? Where did all my crap, stem from? And then who is like, hey, listen, I got something for you. Let's, let's go through my program. I've at least seen 5 therapists in my life, the psychologists, marriage counselors, whatever, and then been on medication, like I said, for 25 years. Going through this process, I couldn't believe the effectiveness.
Yeah.
And just totally living in chaos and fear, which is an acronym, false evidence appearing real, and fear of dying was one of them. And what I would do was, come home from a hectic day at work and isolate myself on the front porch because I was so afraid of dying, being unhappy, and drinking, slowly killing myself.
Yeah, I was going to say, a lot of times what goes on, and I've seen this in the dozens of people that are not only gone through my program, but also the program that I've been in that taught me these tools, that I knew I had to go out and get certified in these tools to bring these healing tools to the world, to really heal people once and for all, instead of masking this symptom this day and this symptom the next day, and then get you reliant on a bottle of pills. Is our subconscious mind is doing what it's supposed to do. All these traumatic events from birth, to current, or they're all in our subconscious mind. But in order to keep us safe, our conscious mind kind of prevents us from actually hearing and knowing what it is that's leading us to get sick, leading us to divorce, leading us to, being addicted to alcohol, leading us to having this, obsessive compulsive disorder, or no boundaries, or shopping. People become shopaholics too. And what it is really just our body and our brain working exactly like it's supposed to work. And so the major thing that we're trying to do is keep ourselves safe, and it's the only way our frontal lobe knows how to do it, and our conscious mind knows how to do it to keep us safe, by numbing yourself down. Stop feeling so fearful, Jenny. And then she would turn to alcohol. Well, other people would turn to extramarital affairs, or other people would turn to
shopping, eating,
overeating. Yeah.
You know, there's somebody close to me, you know, it eats their emotions, you know.
Yeah.
And that's in this program, the mind transformation, we learn from within how to retrain our mind through repetition, through meditation, and getting rid of all of the fear and the self-doubt and the self-abuse that we put ourselves through every single day. I have so much of a different understanding of myself. And then with Mom passing away and watching her slowly go through these different stages of death, just really being in contact with my own mind, my own body, my own soul and spirit is the number one thing. And how I connect with God now, and how I can just, you know, just really connect with the energy of everybody around me.
So one thing I was going to say is, so what we think the problem is, yeah, Glenn is saying, or overstepping and not eating. Yeah, some people will,
and I'm guilty. Guilty is charged. Hello, give me a bowl of brownies. I'm golden.
Yeah, oversleeping and not eating. Yeah, people just hole up in their room and then they don't eat. So one thing that I just wanted to say right here is that so many times, you know, we reach this phase of our life. Jenny and I are both 52 because we're twins. And but other people, you know, they get to this phase of their life where they're 30, 40, or 50, and they're at this, they've seen that they're at this crossroads, and they're eating too much. They're not getting out of their room. They're you know, they're shopping too much. They're drinking alcohol, whatever the case may be, and you think that's the problem. And so you go and you're just like, I'm gonna, you know, will myself to death, right? And you think that you can control it with your willpower, but you simply cannot override the 96% of your brain, okay, and everything in your life that's run by your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind and your willpower runs a whopping 4% of the show. And so what these tools help you do is gain control of 96% of your brain, so that this 4%, which is all these, you know, wonderful goal setting and all that, can actually do what they're meant to do. So it's just an amazing process when you actually have your subconscious and your conscious mind working together. So if you don't want to say anything else at this point, I was just going to go into kind of what we saw yesterday at Poodle's bedside. Okay, so I have been watching my Aunt Poodle, you know, really go into a whole nother phase of her life here toward the end. I feel like in my mind, she got dementia like 10 years ago, and I just remember at that time, you know, she was still, and you know, I was going to say correct me if I'm wrong, but don't interrupt me. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. This is just how I remember it. So 10 years ago, I feel like she was still driving. I saw her having some problems backing in and out. I remember one time, you know, I come down here all the time. I love this family of mine, and we're all very close. And I do believe that about 10 years ago, I saw her trying to get out of a parking space, and she would go in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, like 7 times just to get out of that parking space. And I'm like, something's going on with Aunt Poodle, and I didn't know what it was. And then, you know, 7 years ago, you know, I met her for dinner. We were going on a cruise, and she just couldn't think about what she wanted to eat. Anyway, it's just little by little by little. It was a very long process. And 6 months ago was the last time I saw her, and she is just, you know, she just, a lot of things I saw different is that she I don't even want to talk about some of the things that I saw that were different, but she's just getting a lot thinner, and she's, you know, not able to speak anywhere near as much now, and she just very, very still now. She used to be very animated and move all over the place and be able to get in a wheelchair, and now she's just completely still in a bed, and just profoundly thinner. And so, you know, we were sitting there yesterday, and I'm thinking, you know, this is the her soul has left us a long time ago, because Poodle is no longer talking to me. Poodle is not singing with me. She's not making me my strawberry shortcake that she used to always make me, and she's not dancing with me. Poodle's soul is gone. She's gone, and all I see now is just the physical body, and we're just sitting here waiting for, it's like a used car or an older car, and we're just waiting for the car to die out, but her soul is gone. Now you talk
However,
about, yes.
However, and you know, one of our biggest fears in life is death. And watching my mother go through this process, and then going through the mind transformation process that I did, I just have a whole different understanding, because I'm really connected energetically to God, and you know, to my mom. But I disagree that my mother's soul has left. I feel like she is in like a transition. Like I feel like she's, you know, kind of on the other side, and then still here. Why? Because when I come and see my mom, we're connected. We communicate through touch, through sight. We sang a song together yesterday. But then also, you know, she's always talking to, you know, mama, 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 mama. And then I always ask her, do you see Hank? Hank was my brother that passed away 20 years ago, you know, and after we sang this one Chris Stapleton song together, and she can't speak. She suffers from expressive aphasia, but she kind of, it's almost like she's a baby. She moves her hands, and she was singing with me. And then after this, y'all, this wasn't a playlist. This was like random playlist. After that, this song came on called "The Ride," which was by David Allan Coe. And at the end of the song, or a part of the song, he goes, "You don't have to call me Mr. Mister. The whole world calls me Hank." And there was a Tim McGraw concert that I saw the year after my brother died, and and he did an encore. I found the ticket, one ticket. I found it, and I went to the show. And the one song that he sang on the encore was that song called "The Ride." And he comes out at the end of the stage and says, "You don't have to call me Mr. Mister. The whole world calls me Hank." And then right after that song played, then Willie Nelson's song played.
Wait. No. I want y'all to catch what she's saying. So right after her brother died, she finds a ticket. A ticket. Was it at the?
It was at Kroger, and it was face down. It was one ticket for Tim McGraw, the Dance Hall Doctors, for that night. And it didn't belong to anybody. Nobody was standing around.
She put it into Lost and Found and said, if nobody claims this by the end of the business, call me because I want to go. And so we, of course, think that was Hank. So her brother,
Absolutely,
who had just passed away, was Hank. This ticket is sitting there. Jennie goes to the concert by herself, and then Tim McGraw sings Hank. And the whole world calls me Hank. And
chills.
And so that was just like a major moment. And so that song, I just want to make sure they're understanding the story, because we're getting excited and we're talking too fast. So that song, we played it last week. Did we play it, or did it just randomly come on?
No, it came on. We were playing Chris Stapleton, and then after that Chris Stapleton song came on. No, I did. I looked up that David Allan Coe song so we could play it, because you said one of Chris Stapleton's songs sounded like it. And then right after that song.
Yeah, so I had never heard that story that Jennie just said until yesterday. And so she tells me that whole entire story. So she looks up that song, that playlist, to play at Poodle's bedside. She's under hospice care now, and so there's 2 hospital beds in her living room for her and her husband. And so she can't move, and so she's in this beautiful red velvet and red silk bed, and so we're just at her bedside. And so Jennie plays that song and tells me that whole story, and then Spotify comes up with a random next song, which is, now you tell
Willie
the story.
Nelson's always on my mind, and my cousins are on here, and they'll know exactly what that is. So
tell everybody else what that is.
So that was my grandmother, Nama, our mother's mom.
Mm-hmm.
That song played, right? And we played that song at her funeral. She loved that song, and it played right after. So it's like that spirit's connected, Hank was there, Nana was there.
And then Poodle, I think
she
spirit
livens up when I come so we're connected.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say how I see it. So I cannot see any change in Poodle, because as y'all know, whenever you're in the room, you're always in the room, right? So I say Poodle's soul and spirit is gone, and she doesn't, she doesn't know that I'm there, and she's not smiling, and she's not talking. But Jennie knows what she's always like, and she said she does know me, and she can see things that I can't see, And so then as I don't know how many of you guys have ever had a loved one or taking care of patients with dementia. And that's another thing I wanted to say, because I see a couple of nurses on the line. Sabrina is for one, and Michelle. But in medicine, all we are ever taught to do is to take care of the physical body, okay? Because we're there, and we are trained, and they make sure we are trained every 2 years to keep up these skills. Watch the vital signs, watch the heart rate, watch the blood pressure, and all the person is a set of vital signs, okay? And so when those vital signs start, tanking, then all of us doctors and nurses know how to bring that back up, right? With IV fluids, with pushes of medicine. And then we feel like, we're not a failure when it doesn't work, but then when all the vital signs go to zero, or if something bad happens in one day, then we're written up, and there's a variance report, and I don't know, it's just like, I just feel like a part of another reason why people get so afraid is that they're focusing on the wrong thing, the physical body. And if all you're ever doing is trying to keep everything looking a certain way, and then when the soul and the physical body die at the same time, and that all goes away, but as a medical professional, all you're looking at was the physical body, then you just feel like, what did I do wrong? How much longer could I have kept her here, right? Which brings me, into keeping your mom here for a really long time, and about your epiphany, if you want to talk about that.
Well, it definitely takes away the fear of dying, to be honest with you, for me. Watching my mother go through this process and just having a different understanding and being energetically really focusing in on the energetic connection that I have with people, which I've always felt my entire life, and I think that was one of the reasons why I always drank. But just having a clearer understanding, and just getting healing myself from within. Tell me if I'm getting off track here. Healing myself from within, but just being able to cope and understand without having to go and mask my feelings and numb, either by drinking, which would fall under sugar,
salt, sugar, sex, shopping.
Yeah, and
any
sleep,
of those,
and sleep.
Any of those things that we do, because she feels. I will say, Jennie is gifted. She's special, and she feels really, really intensely, right? And so when we are people that feel really intensely, or our emotions are kind of at the top, fear and anger and sadness and shame, all that, and we don't want, our brain is not going to function at those high levels of emotions. Those things will spill over. Then we just numb ourselves up, and so she is not doing that anymore, but even though that's how she was numbing herself down. But talk about the epiphany of her physical body and how you didn't want to see them.
So the epiphany that I had yesterday, and I talk to myself out loud a lot, because I'm really not talking to myself. I'm talking to God and all my angels around me. But I had the epiphany that, okay, so when I don't get to see my mother for a few days, I still feel her spirit with me. And then when I go over there and she livens up when I come into a room. But I have learned through this process, y'all, I have learned to create a boundary for myself that I'm comfortable with. And I don't care if anybody disagrees with me. But when my mother gets to the point where she can't communicate, where she's basically like comatose, not moving, not speaking, I'm done. I don't want to see her that way. I would rather feel like I'm just too busy working. Her spirit's constantly going to be with me. I don't want to see my mom. I've seen my mom sleep way too many times, and I don't want to see that, and I'm comfortable with it. 4 years ago, I didn't have the mindset to do that. I'd probably be dead under a bridge. Instead, I'm thriving. I struggle. Listen, we all struggle. That's a daily. You're not going to ever get away from the struggles, but you definitely, learn how to cope. And I'm comfortable with those boundaries that I've set for myself. And if anybody disagrees, well, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but you don't take care of me. I do.
Right.
And I have learned to really love myself, accept myself for who I am. All of this You know, I'm tired of, living in that dark place. I'm lively. I have a lot of love to give.
Hello, Priscilla.
And I get, and there's blessings every day. I mean, there's just, I kind of feel like I'm kind of just gabbing, but the point is that I know how to protect myself. And
well, you just said exactly what I wanted you to say. So she's coming to these realizations. Every day kind of gives her another phase of Poodle's life, and so now she's coming to a realization that in order to protect her mental, emotional, and physical health, she's got to put up boundaries, and she knows she doesn't want to see her mom completely nonverbal and non-moving, and that's what I think. I cannot always say this. This is what it's like in America. I don't know what it's like in any other state or country, because I've only lived in America. But we're never taught how to put up boundaries to keep ourselves safe. And Jennie helps me just as much sometimes as I help her, right? Because she's like, unless someone's paying rent, in your house, then don't come over to your house and say anything. And it's just like the same thing. If you're not paying the rent, the real estate in my mind, keep your opinions out of it, And so it's another thing that these tools really help you do is to know how to maintain your boundaries to keep yourself safe, because the healing, it's like I said before, is between you and God, and so no one can take it away. And so then you really want to hold on to that healing because it has helped you so much. So I was just going to read something that Melissa wrote.
Yes,
she said that's how she started her career in the infirmary at a nursing home. There was a patient with dementia, and she had a patient die on her while taking his vitals at 16. I guess you were 16 years old. I was immediately thinking 1600. You did the 4 p.m. vitals, but I think you're saying you were 16 years old. And the nurse was so cold, she picked his hand up and then dropped it and said, "Yep, he's dead. Get him ready for the medical
I've heard
examiner."
stories like that. I had a friend whose father-in-law was military and was treated at the VA hospital in Portland, Oregon. And I don't mind saying it out loud because they got in trouble for this. But they were just like, "Oh, so-and-so, he finally died? Seriously?" Yeah. But not everybody, never mind.
No, well, I was going to say, this last position I had in my career is when, after 13 years of having, I always say 13, no, it was really 16. After 16 years of having that full-time job, I realized I had to go into part-time medicine. I couldn't keep staying full-time because I don't think medical professionals realize how much trauma we go through on a daily basis. But my very first day, 16 years old, I figured, that very first day of my position at that big, huge hospital in Gainesville, I was just learning my way around the geography of the hospital, and I was on 4 East, and Donna, you'll know where that is. Some of my and Michelle, some of my coworkers are on right now, and so I was just meeting the nurses and trying to figure out where 4 East was versus 4 Central and 4 West and all that. And I had to use the restroom, so I went into the kitchen, the nurses' break room. And there was this little tiny crib, those little plastic acrylic cribs that are on a rolling wooden thing, and it was all covered up with a blanket. And I said, "Why is there a crib on 4 East?" Because we were, this was med surg. We were taking care of older people, and they said, "Oh, Dr. Stark, that's a baby that died, just a minute ago, and we're waiting for the family to come up." And I said, "So there's a baby in that crib, right there?" Right there in the break room? And they said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, can I say a blessing over that baby?" And they said, "Yeah." And so I went over there and just said a blessing over that little tiny baby's body, and then I think the dad or whoever we were waiting on came, and so we delivered the bodies so they could say their goodbyes. But in that moment, that was 16 years ago, and I do not think I'll ever forget the nurses, especially this one that was in that nurse's station at that time, because we just trauma bond, and I'd never seen anything like that in my life at that time, And so, so Lynn is popping in some comments here. Death is a beautiful release of that shining soul. The physical body the physical breakdown of the body is so torturing for us to see it, but always hold on to the beautiful light that that person is always being free. Yes,
and
so,
that's exactly
yes,
why I
thank
don't want to
you,
see
Lynn.
my mom in that
Woo,
state.
for taking us out of the depths of that. When Poodle does finally pass and breathes her last breath, we will all
rejoice.
We'll all have a piece of her in us, and we really, I feel like we should already have a piece of her in us.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and
That never goes away.
yeah, but it's just their soul gets released to do it to fulfill a higher purpose, and so we'll all have her. You know, everybody will have a piece of her soul.
I feel. Can I just
Yeah,
interject something?
yeah,
My
go ahead.
opinion on this mind transformation and releasing the inner trauma. My mom didn't have those tools, and there are different ailments that come from that side of the family. And I mean, you know, there's alcoholism that runs in our family, and but the dementia. I feel like my mom just had to suppress a lot, and that is how her body reacted. She was diagnosed at 60 years old with dementia, and she's 75 at the end of her life. My AA sponsor is the same age as or right at the same age as my mother, and just going. Her older sister going, and my poor little mom is, you know, right there. And I just feel like that we don't have to succumb. We don't have to come to all the suppressing and you know, there's release. We don't have to be that person. I could be wrong. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical profession, but just as a human being, and knowing what I believe in, you can't make me think anything different.
Yeah. So I guess the message Jenny and I are bringing today is just that there is hope for a different way. You don't have to live your whole entire life tied into the shackles of, you know, just being a slave to your emotions. There's a way to release all this emotions and actually regulate yourself on the daily and have a fulfilled life and go through deaths. You know, I mean, Jenny, after she went through the program and she, you know, got this deep ultimate healing, then her ex-husband, his brain cancer came back, and then her daughter was kidnapped in the middle of all this, and here she is alive and thriving. You can see it with your own two eyes. I mean, like, terrible things will continue to happen, and you just know how to take care of it, and you know how to resource yourself constantly. And then the best thing is that you're in a tribe of people that are like-minded, and we all have
the people that I have met. I mean, it's changed my life completely. I mean, I have discovered I'm a healer. I have goals, and I have all these mentors in my life. There's a couple online right now, Lynn, Melissa. I mean, you guys are all mentors to me, and I never thought my life would be going in this direction, but it feels damn good.
Yeah.
But hey, I still face fear every single day. I'm just trying to conquer. I conquer it. If I face it, I conquer it every day.
Yep. Anyway, well, that's all I had to say, and it's been 30 minutes, so it's been so good to see all you guys here today. I hope that this served you. As always, I'm going to make this public so that if any of this touches your heart, then chances are it'll also touch people's hearts of people that are in your in your circle. Thank you, Cindy. That's a friend from high school. She started late. Your light is shining, girl. I love you. So inspirational. So I'll make it shareable so you can share it with people, because we just want to get the word out that people don't have to suffer. I personally just feel like there is so much suffering in the world right now, and all we can do is just be a slave to like what is on the television or what's on the TV, and all they're doing is paying for our eyeballs and paying for our ears, you know, just so they can just like indoctrinate us with what their agenda is. And so there's hope, there's healing, there's camaraderie, there's support, there's connection. So if anybody wants to reach out, just drop me. I'm always living in the DMs. Just drop me a DM and I'll reach out and we can talk. Anything else you want to say?
No,
Right.
I mean, if anybody has any questions, like if you're considering maybe, you know, joining in and making the best, taking the most important step of your life, any questions, I mean, you can feel free to DM me as well.
Yeah, awesome.
You know.
Thank you, Jenny.
And then that
All
peace, love, and light to everybody. Mahala.
All right, we'll talk to y'all later. See you next Tuesday at 10. I don't even know what